Let's get going. All right. So, Kat, I'm going to start with you first because you were the first one to go over into the USA. What made you want to leave, and how did you kind of get the process going?
I think honestly, like just from like when I started cheer, I saw like videos of like UK and stuff, and like, you know, American cheerleading, like it's the pinnacle of cheerleading. I like just wanted, before I like quit, just definitely wanted to see like how far I could push myself. And I think that's why I mostly wanted to go. So we started the process. The visa process is a nightmare. I'm sure these other guys can attest to that. It definitely makes you not want to go if that's like what America's trying to do. But I think that's the reason why I decided to come.
And so you did a video audition, and like, how did you pick your teams and that kind of stuff?
So actually I came over to do Claw 7. Well, it was Claw 6, now Claw 7. And I've been in touch with their coach for years, and he was always like, come to our team. Finally, I was like, okay, I want to do it. Like, I'm ready. I'm at a time in my life where I want to do it. And now they've put in a rule that if you want to do an all-star team, you have to be either like a resident or you have to be on a student visa. So you either had to be American or on a student visa. And I was like, okay, cool. What are colleges around there? And then I saw Navarro and Trinity Valley. And once I got to the States, I actually got a call from the coach of Trinity Valley, and he was like, we'd love to have you. Yeah. And that's, I like just went with it. I was like, universe is telling me to go Trinity Valley. Here we go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
And then you convinced Dan. Is that what happened?
No, I think Dan decided to come on his own.
Right.
He actually didn't know there was a potential that I was actually going to rock up without her even knowing, but someone spoiled it. Yeah, it was Kat being over there definitely helped. It definitely influenced my decision like a little bit, to be ignorant to say it did. But I honestly don't think I would be over here right now if it wasn't for COVID, because it kind of put me in a weird box last year where I graduated October or something, September, I can't remember. And I'm in allied health, and at that point in Australia, the industry was kind of decimated. It was a terrible time to get a job, and everything was still locked down. So it was just kind of this weird pause in life where there was quite literally nothing happening. And I don't know. I can't even remember how it came into my head. It's something that I've always thought about, is going over to the US through cheer, because I think for anyone who wants to take it somewhat seriously or be the best they can, it's the place to go. I mean, it's where it originated. It's where the best teams are. And I just sent out a couple of inquiries, quite literally two. There was another university that I sent an inquiry to, and the only other place was Weber. The coach got back to me. We talked, submitted a video, and she said, sure, come over. And that was in like mid-November, and I left the day after New Year's. So it was all quite fast.
Right. So it's sort of a coincidence that you guys got on the same team then.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I think we're both on this team for the same reason. I mean, I didn't really want to go anywhere else because I looked at Weber, and I just through social media, you kind of see what people and what team and what certain teams are doing. And for the things that I do, which is partner stunning, it looked like the best place to go. Right. Because they already had some of the best athletes in the country, and it looked like they were just getting more. So I remember like there was the only other place that I even considered applying was Louisville. Mm-hmm. And outside of that, I didn't really see another program that kind of tempted me as much as Weber did. So I really kind of hedged all my bets on them accepting me, and luckily they did.
And Alex, you've been there for how long now?
Like a month.
And so what was your process of getting on the team?
Well, I've always wanted to do college cheer, but then my parents were like, no, you're not going to America. You're not leaving us, blah, blah, blah. And then like Dan, Matt, and Jared have always been like, you should look into college cheer. You should do college cheer. And I was like, no, like I'm not allowed to. And obviously being like a bit younger, I do need my parents' support. And then Dan and I were in contact a few months before I left. And he was like, you should try out. And I was like, no, I'm not allowed to. And then I think, was it how long before tryouts, Dan, that I messaged
Less than 2 weeks.
It was like 2 weeks before tryouts. I was like, so how do I try out?
I was very surprised.
I'll just try out. I probably won't even get on.
It was a really nice surprise, to get that message.
Yeah. And then I got on the team and I told my parents and they weren't happy. But then they met with Summer, the coach, and after meeting her, they were just fully supportive because they could just see that like Summer really cares about her athletes. And I think it also made it better that Kat and Dan were here because my parents like, okay, like we know people there. The coach like has her best interest. And then, yeah, the visa process was a nightmare. I got rejected from the embassy like 3 times and then I started crying and I was like,
That's disaster.
Oh no. So tell me, and anyone can answer this, what do you think the biggest difference is between USA and, I mean, obviously the level is going to be there, but other than that, what do you think the biggest difference between cheer in USA and Australia is?
I just quickly,
Yeah.
in terms of the level, one thing I do like to clarify when people ask is like, obviously I think sure, like the upper level of teams in America is probably are the best in the world, sure, like the top end, but people kind of get confused and think that every team in America is like that amazing and they're better than anywhere else in the world. And what I like to say is like, you know, just like any other place, there are amazing teams, and then there are slightly less amazing teams, and there are slightly more intermediate teams, and the same goes for any all-star gym or college over here. Just because you see, you know, the best of the best on social media doesn't mean that everywhere is that amazing and that, you know, nowhere else in the world it stacks up. You know, there are definitely some gyms in Australia that I would put head to head with a lot of the teams over here, and they would do amazingly. I mean, we've all been to worlds before. We know teams and people who have won medals and globes, and I think that's true. I mean, the levels are here. The top end is great, but I don't want people to think that, you know, if you come from a country like Australia or anywhere else in the world, that you don't stand a chance.
Kat, what were you going to say?
I think the biggest difference is like work ethic and like the standard people hold themselves to here. A lot of like being on the teams that I've been on, I was on a team at Trinity Valley last year at NCAA. They won their division. They were close to getting Grand National Champions as well. Just 2 like amazing teams. Just like the standard that the individuals hold themselves to, that's like where it comes from, you know, like a lot of it isn't from the coaches. It's from the drive that your like peers and the other people you're around. It's like, holy crap, they got that skill. Like, they look like that. Like, I want to look like that. Like, and it's like a competitive drive, but like still that family vibe. So I think that that's like the biggest difference, that like people just hold themselves to awesome, high standards. It's a cool vibe to be around for sure.
Anything to add, Alex?
I agree with Kat 100%. Like here, people want to be in the gym every single day, working a skill that they don't have yet. And like, not saying that I got lazy, but I definitely got comfortable back home in the skills I had, even tumbling wise. And since being here, I've been like pushing myself to do things that I never would have done back home. And so I think that's a very good point. Yeah.
Cool. That kind of leads to my next question quite nicely. So the team that you're on won NCAA. They're one of the best teams in the world. Do you feel pressure to keep up, or are you enjoying the challenge? And Dan, I want to know if being on this team has humbled you at all.
Short answer, yes. Well, one way I like to put it is like, you know, I definitely, even when I was back in Australia, you get this now and then. You go on social media, and we know how negatively that can affect your outlook on life in certain ways. But you know, you look at these people standing over in the States, for example, these big boys doing these amazing skills that I never thought I'd get. And there are days as an athlete, you look at them, you think, I'm never going to stack up there. Like I'm never going to do the things that person can do. Why would I even bother? And I like to joke that instead of just sitting at home and watching them be better than me on Instagram, I came here so I can watch them be better than me in person. And that is a little bit humbling, but I mean, the main reason I came over was to be the best athlete that I could be. You know, I wasn't aiming to be the best in the world, but I know that by being here, I'm extracting all the potential I can out of myself. So it is humbling, but I think to maintain my kind of perspective on it, I just try and remember where I was when I came here at the very end of last year, or the very start of the year, and try and compare it to now. So not necessarily how good everyone else is around me, but how much better I've gotten because I am around them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a good way to look at it. And you guys?
I'll go first. I love a challenge as an athlete. I'm always looking for a new challenge. Like, I feel like kind of similar to Dan, we're like during COVID, I couldn't develop my skills any further. And so I was like, well, what's next? You know, I wasn't kind of happy just like cruising along. And so I definitely love the challenge, but I think it's really easy to get caught up in watching other girls and being like, wow, they're amazing. Like, just no words for it. They're so insanely talented. But I try and remind myself that we're all on like our own paths. And even though they're doing those skills, like I might not be up to that, but I'm on a different path to them. So that doesn't matter. And am I improving for myself? Am I doing well in my skills? Like, am I getting new skills from myself and not comparing it to like other girls and what they're doing? But it's really easy to get caught up in. And there's definitely like in the back of your mind, you're like, oh, I've got to get this skill, I've got to do this because this girl has it. But I definitely think reminding myself of that has made me enjoy the challenge even more. And it's like helped me grow as a person as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree with that stuff too. Like literally looking at like it being in this environment and not comparing yourself is like pretty much impossible, I would say. Like you literally compare yourself daily. But I mean, like you just have to like remember exactly you have your own path. Like, you know, you're good. Everyone has their own job. Like I'm never gonna be a tumbler. This is Jelani and Kylie. They're both on Weber. They're my roommates.
I was trying to
but we all have our own jobs, you know, like I can never compare myself to tumblers because I'm never going to be a tumbler. Like, you know, yeah.
I've been watching you guys on social media, and somehow I've convinced myself that I could do that. So, especially because I haven't stunted for so long. I'm like, yeah, if I went back to it, I could do a rewind full because you guys make it look so easy that I'm like, yeah, I could do that. It's just because I quit. That's the only reason I can't do that.
I'll just add quickly.
I still have dreams about cheerleading.
I love it.
So I forgot to add quickly. I think it's also worth remembering that cheer isn't an individual sport, and even if you don't think you stack up to the people around you, you were put on the team for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
So even though you don't think you might be the best person around, you still have a role there. As Kat said, like everyone's got their job and everyone's got their individual skill set. So think about it more as I am on an amazing team, not I am standing next to an amazing person who I'm not better at, because they're your teammate, you know?
Yeah, nice. And so how many hours do you train, and like, what's the sort of team vibe that's, you know, is it different to what you've experienced before?
Practices are the hardest practices I've ever been a part of.
Yeah,
they're ridiculous. We practice Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 12:30 to 3:30, so 3 hours 3 times a week, and we literally stunt almost like every other day,
if not twice a day.
Yeah, sometimes we stunt up to practice too, or tumble, like depending on what you do. But yeah, that's all individual after that. Some people don't come in, some people do. A lot of people do.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
That's where the work ethic comes in.
And so tell me, I just saw you guys at a ranch recently with a swimming pool. It looked like an awful time. What was that about?
Horrible, truly horrible. It was like this promotional event. If you follow the Cheer Acro page on Instagram, the like people who run that page like reached out to some of the people on our team to like promote. He's trying to create this platform, so we were there promoting that and promoting like brands and stuff. So we had got paid, our flights and everything were paid for, everything was paid for, and it was like incredible. We were surrounded by like acrobats, trapeze people. There was just all this crazy stuff happening, like social influences. It was awesome.
Just to clarify, Alex and I weren't there.
Amazing.
She deserves it all. She's famous now. So Alex,
I assumed you were there. You just didn't put it up on Instagram.
Oh no, I would have Instagrammed that. That looked incredible.
Yeah, I know. Totally.
There were camels for some reason.
Yes.
Even the massive room that you were in with the roof. Oh my God, it looked amazing.
It was insane. They ended up hanging silks and like the liras from the roof. It was crazy.
Yeah, right. Yes, I saw that. So tell me, wait, is it, and now I'm after, because we sort of talked about this a little bit in the beginning. You've got, is there two teams officially with Weber State? So you've got like Weber State, which is the university team, and then the all-star team. Is that right? No.
So Weber State is a college team, so there will never be all-star in that sense. But there's a small and large co-ed this year for the first time. Weber State has officially made like the two competing teams. So when it goes to national next year, there'll be a Weber State large co-ed and a Weber State small co-ed for the first time.
So, Kat, I swear I've seen you in multiple uniforms. Are you was that just cheering on other teams, or?
I did. So when I first moved here, I was on Class 7. I did NCA with them, and then COVID hit after that. So that was the only competition. I did a competition in New Orleans with them. So that was one uniform. And then I was on Trinity Valley for a semester. So they're the red and black kind of uniforms. And we have like every college has like 3 different uniforms. And then I've just been on Weber. So that's the last, yeah.
And what's the reason for having 3 different uniforms?
Just like different games, like whether it's away game, home game. Sometimes we do like blackout games, and like we wear like different uniforms for different things. Like, and like we cheer for like basketball and volleyball, and we just wear different.
And what's it? I feel like that is that's what most people think of when they think of cheerleading, is that stadium cheerleading. What's it like, especially when that stadium's full? How does it compare to a competition?
We're at a smaller school, so our stadium isn't huge. Our football team, like our football games aren't really that like big, but it's like, I mean, we do this to perform, right? Like it's awesome when people are just watching and you get to like actually do cheers. And I think that's the cool part, like doing cheers, like you're cheering on an actual team.
It's so weird.
You're not just cheering for nothing. Yeah.
How funny. I feel like,
yeah.
No, you go.
I was gonna say that's one of the biggest differences here is like, you know, we all, you know, were on the same team together at one point doing All-Star, but now 3 of us on a college team, and the focus shifts. Like it's you don't really go to a college team necessarily to just compete, because that's a tiny portion of what you do. We'll compete once next May or April, I think, and maybe once earlier in the year, and that's it. There'll be no more competitions. But
really?
we'll do a football game every week, every other week, and maybe a basketball or volleyball game, and then there's like university events and like rallies and stuff. So it's like 3% competition and 97% sideline cheering and actually being a cheerleader.
Crazy. So does that put the pressure on competition way more? Because I feel like one of the good things about us is that we got so many competition lead ups before Worlds that you were kind of quite practiced at competing.
Last year we didn't get many performances, but we do, like, we go to all the local high schools and stuff, and we do performances like that to prepare us. Summer, our coach is like made us do more full outs than anyone could ever imagine. So like, I've never felt so prepared for a competition, but we normally actually do this huge one at the Jazz. The Jazz, they're a huge basketball team. I don't really follow basketball, but that stadium is enormous. And I think that that's like one of the biggest performances that get like Weber ready normally. We didn't get to do it last year though.
Yeah, interesting. All right. So what is your most favorite stunt that you've learnt since you've been there? Whoever's got one, go.
My most hated skill is backhand spring double up. Well, just back handsprings in general, back handspring ups. I
mean, you look like you hate them when you do them so perfectly.
Yeah, I've conquered my fear. And I just feel like I have to say that. So universe, hear me. It's my favorite skill. That or full twisting rewinds.
And how did you conquer your fear?
Literally just doing it. I'd stand there and be like, just do it. And just like reps on reps.
Yeah. And do you think that was anything to do with like, you know, did your base have any influence on that?
Yeah, even still, like if I don't have 100% trust in my base, I generally won't throw them on everybody. I definitely need, I need to trust my base for sure.
Yeah, I understand that.
For me personally, a skill that I always avoided because I hated it, because I just didn't know how to do it. No one in Australia ever taught me or could teach me, was front handspring 1.5. I know Kat, for example, when we competed together, we threw a few, but then we just avoided them because there was no one really around to kind of like break it down. And when I got here in January, I kind of asked people like, what's the sequence for, for the elite sequence for the routine? They said, oh, it's a handski into a front 1.5. And I was like, well, I was kind of forced to learn it. I had to spend 2 months kind of beating my head against a brick wall because I had no other choice. But now I actually like them, and that's been it's the favorite skill that I've learned because I never thought I was going to be good at it, but I was forced to, and now I actually like them.
And can you think of like what was the difference? How did you eventually get it? Was there a trick to it?
I'm obviously the people here knew how to do it and could tell me more intimately. Is that right? Intimately how to do it? Break it down for me. And obviously some amazing flyers as well, actually, who knew what to do and how to correct me. But it was just, I was forced to. I mean, no one back home was ever going to force me to do that skill, but I was on a team where that was expected. So I just had to catch up.
So it's just reps.
It's pressure.
Yeah.
I think for me, like I've only been here a month, but definitely big thing that I'm proud of is tumbling from sprung floor to dead floor, because I've never done it. Like I've never even tumbled on the grass. I've never done anything on a dead floor before. And I'm actually doing really well. I'm throwing my elite passes like across, and I'm throwing passes that I haven't thrown back home. And if stunt wise, definitely hand ski or like diameter to hand ski is a big one that I've been proud of learning.
Yeah. Amazing. And so how have you adjusted? I've never really understood how you tumble on a dead floor. How do you adjust?
It's actually not that, but I thought I was freaking out. I was like, I'm not going to be able to even do it tuck. But it's not that bad. Like the floor has a bit of give to it. So it is bouncy. You just have to be faster. And I like being fast with my tumbling. So I found the adjustment okay. I think today I threw a new pass that I haven't even thrown on sprung floor. So I definitely think bounding I haven't done any bounding like whip full or anything like that. I've only done like whip flip, but I think it's easier on dead floor because you're purely feeling your timing in the tumbling, whereas on sprung floor, you have to adjust for the spring. But yeah.
Interesting.
I just want to point out that Matt and I both had conversations with Alex before she came.
Oh no.
She kept saying like, I'm so scared about tumbling on dead floor. I'm not going to be able to fall. We both told her to shut up, that she's so talented that she'd be fine, but she didn't believe us. And the first day she was forced to tumble here, she did like a couple passes, round off whip, round off flip lay, round off flip lay. And then on a third pass, she did a round off flip fall. She turned around, looked at me and went, oh, that wasn't that bad. I told her.
I dream about doing that. Yeah. Wow, that was really easy. I've had dreams where I like just sort of lifted up my back leg and I was like, the scorpion. Eddie,
I have the exact same dreams. Me doing these crazy elite tumble passes, and I wake up and I'm like, it's gonna be a great tumble day, and it normally never is. But I can dream.
I think the best way to do it is be like, you know what, I'm feeling bad. I'm just going to do the best I can. And then you come away, you're like, that was really good. But whenever you're like, I'm going to have a good day today, it's never as good. Set the expectation low. So is this the first time that all of you have been coached by a female?
No.
Momo was my first coach.
All right. Interesting. Dan?
I'll say yes. I mean, I was on Monash with Kat, 2014 for like a month or less. Right. So maybe, but apart from that, my only other cheer coach was Eddie for 7 years.
Yeah, right. And what do you think the difference in the coaching styles are?
Oh, there's a big difference.
Between like male and female, or like?
Between male and female, Australia and US.
I think Australia versus US, you guys could probably speak to this more, but personally in the past month, and hearing from Dan has said this as well before I came here. Here, it's very like Summer manages us and tells us what she wants us to do. And then it's like an open gym kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You probably have more to elaborate on that, but that was the biggest thing.
I think the coaches here are less, I don't want to, caring isn't the word because they care about us so much, but like want to push you so much that like you don't really have the opportunity to like sit out or like be hurt in a way, you know, like, I mean, if you're hurt, obviously sit out, but like you want to keep pushing yourself. And I think that that's the biggest difference between coaches. They don't really give you the option to like not do the skills.
Mm-hmm.
And that could come from the team as well. But having a female coach is different as well. I think it's like that nurturing, caring kind of personality that you get from females that is different. And yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I'll just back up what Alex said. I mean, it definitely will change from college to college, but I think the benefit on being a team where all the athletes themselves are so experienced and so talented is that, at least for Summer, our coach, she can take a step back and, as Alex said, not so much be a coach, but be more of a manager, manage the expectations, run the practices, manage the personnel if anyone steps out of line, and, you know, and discipline and motivation. But in terms of actual nitty gritty, like technical coaching, doesn't really do much of that because, you know, the athletes can kind of communicate amongst themselves and help each other. And that's a big difference for me. I mean, we all know Eddie was very kind of like hands-on technical, giving a lot of advice, and he wanted things done this way, and he kind of made us all rep things together, where Summer's like, I want this, go do it. And just leave it.
Right. And so what about like Kenny's thing of like same time, same way? Like, is that not a thing? And like, how do you get the team to be uniform if everyone's kind of doing it their own way?
Count.
Yeah, but look wise, or is it just that everyone has the same technique?
I think that might also come from like just like being around everybody, like especially front 1.5s, like half of us did them with spinning with our arms up, half of us did them spinning with our arms down. So like that stuff like that we ended up changing when we like put it, like when we started doing, because first semester last year we were already doing reps of hand skis in front 1.5, so that like when we start doing them all together, I guess then she'll be like, you were a little slow, you were a little this, you were a little that. Yeah.
Right. And you think it's just the level of talent with athletes that they can adjust so quickly?
Oh yeah, touching on that here, that's a big thing, is every athlete here self coaches, and if you get given feedback or you give feedback, they will change it instantly on the next rep. And that's what I think makes these athletes so amazing, is because you tell them to do it faster, they'll do it faster the next rep. It won't take them 10 reps to change it, they'll do it. So I think that's a big difference as well.
And do you think that's also like the type of people that are attracted to the team and that get onto the team because it's so high level? So all of those people are like highly driven and you know, can adjust really easily? Or do you think there's something about being on the team that makes that?
Probably the individuals. Probably comes from like before the drive.
Yeah.
The team has a very good reputation and a very good culture. It's a very like well-run team, and the attitude of the people around and the kind of culture I personally really like. It's very down to earth so far. There's been a big influx of new people this year, but I think, you know, it's kind of that build it and they will come principle. Summer's built something really incredible, and obviously Weber won Grands last year, which is incredible. And I think due to that, it kind of caught the eye of a lot of people, and more people want to come and be a part of that, and, you know, be a part of something big, be a part of something special. I mean, that's why I'm here. I think that's why all three of us are here. And that's also true for people within the US who come from either out of high school or from other colleges.
And tell me, what's the choreography process like? Is it sort of the same as back here, or is it different?
Yeah, same thing. We have our like in-house choreographer, I guess. Well, not in-house, but his name's Jared. So we get like, even the Trinity Valley, it was the same. We got people from like other gyms, like well-known choreographers, to come in and do the choreography for us. We already have like our pyramid and our elite stunt and like the meat and potatoes that we want to do, but they come in and make it all flashy and put it all together. We have like men, like big boys on this team, so we never get fun choreography. But okay,
you never get the boys choreography like we did.
Right.
So do you think this is going to be it for you with cheer? Like, are you going to retire after your stint in the USA, or are you going to come back and keep going? And
Me,
Alex, you're
I'm
the
probably
youngest.
done. You go.
I was about to say, Alex being the youngest probably has the best prospects of continuing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 29 now. I have concerns about my body holding up for a full season, especially when I'm surrounded. I'm literally like 12 years old than one of the guys on the team, which is insane. He's still 17. I've always said that I'll do it as long as my body, and as long as I want to and as long as I can. I don't think it's reasonable to put a timeline on yourself. If I finish this year and I want to do another, I'll do another. If I finish this year, I want to come back and retire, I'll do that.
Yeah, when I come back, I don't know if I'm going to do team cheer. Like, I'm not going to say that I am now. I definitely want to do partner stunt and continue like some type of cheer. And like, I know what, before I left, my last session with Matt and Jared was insane. We were hitting some really cool skills. So I think coming back and being able to show them everything I've learned and do partner stunt, that would be really fun. I don't know about team cheer. Like, here, you live, love, breathe, cheer. Like, it's all you do all the time. And it's all everyone does. And like, training is in the middle of the day. Like, it's just all you do. Whereas back home, you have to juggle work and school, and training's a bit later. So I definitely have to reassess that when I come back. But no, I definitely want to do partner stunt and continue cheering. Yeah.
Just so you know, from someone old and retired, when you do quit cheer, the idea of not having something to constantly work for and look forward to, like competitions and all that kind of stuff, leaves you so lost. I need to prepare you for that, because you literally don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah. I don't know what I would do with all the free time. Like, I think I'd still have to stunt. I don't think
stunt, like,
just to try and get, I don't know, work towards skills. Like you said, like, I don't know what I would do. Not having anything. Yeah.
I mean, I still went to gymnastics and stuff, but I think it's different to having like, I don't miss the pressure of competition, but I miss that element of having something to work towards and having that payoff.
Yeah.
The challenge.
Yeah.
In regards to something to work towards, I have one final goal. Sorry, I know I've said this many times. I'll say it again. Cheerleading will be in the Olympics eventually, and I'm pegging that at the very latest, it's going to be by Los Angeles 2028. I'll be 36. My long-term goal is to still be fit enough and relevant enough to represent Australia at the 2020 Olympics in cheerleading. That's the long-term goal.
Well, Dan, I was 38 when I retired, so you can do it.
Yeah, I was like 38 for me.
You can do it.
My body. That's it's like 11 years.
Yeah, no, I'm that's the long term. At the very least, like, coach it or something. I don't know, but I just think it'd be incredible. Like the even if it's like a thin prospect of like representing Australia at the Olympics. Oh, that's the dream.
Yeah. I believe that your body adjusts to whatever you give it. So if you only train 3 times a week for ages, then going to 4 times a week really hurts. But once that becomes normal, your body becomes normal, like used to training that. And then if you train every day of the week, your body adjusts to training every day of the week.
Yeah.
So I do think as long as you keep doing it, your body will keep saying yes to it.
This is coming from the 44-year-old with a 10-pack.
I am not.
Yeah.
Not 44. What just happened? One of my oldest school friends just turned 43, and I was like, wow, how is she so much older than me? And then I realized that my next birthday is 43. And I was like, but anyway, so tell me what NCA was like.
NCA was literally a dream come true. Like, that was the only thing that I wanted to do. Like, you see people on the band shell and you're like, I want to be there. I want to be competing outside in the sun. Like, it was unreal. Like, seeing, especially even competing partner stunt, like, I've never been able to like look so many of my friends in the eyes, like literally before we went, I was like, bye. And I was like, oh, music, okay. Like, it was incredible. Definitely a dream come true.
Exactly the same as Kat. I mean, I was fortunate enough to step out there for partner stunt, and that was my only goal, was just to step foot on it and perform something, and that was it. I didn't care how well I did, how bad I did, because I know that the number of Australians that have ever set foot out there is very slim. I think there's 2 of them, 3 of them, and I think most of them are in the Zoom call right now. And that just to kind of tread that ground, it seemed impossible years ago. I remember watching videos of teams competing in NCA and particularly partner stunt routines going NCA. And if I knew back then that I would eventually be able to do that one day, I just wouldn't have believed it. You know, it just seems like such a far off goal in terms of ability and talent, but also just literally it is so far from Australia to live on the other side of the world to be able to do it. So that was the biggest thing for me. And it's nice knowing as well that was, you know, like a COVID NCA. It was a little bit smaller scale. There were less teams there and things were a little bit more scaled back. So I'm kind of looking forward to next year when things are hopefully more back to normal and it's bigger and better, and yeah, let's do it all again.
And I know that I always used to have a massive come down after competition. Was the come down after NCA awful, or was it okay?
We were like still in school, like we hadn't finished the semester yet. So like once we got back, and I think, I don't know, me personally, I was probably more relieved. We like practiced so hard that like on my body, I was just relieved to like have just time to like actually like get finals done and like rest my body a little bit. But I think the competition come down is always real.
Yeah.
I don't think the drive fell down. If people were back in the gym, literally the day after we got back, or even not the day off. It was
next year.
Yeah. People were preparing for next year. But yeah, as Kat said, like we dropped in, I think it was finals week, the week after, which is like, you know, exam week. So if people didn't really get a chance to have a cheer hangover because you had to do your exams.
Yeah.
I think the coolest thing was like just being on the bandshell, knowing that we were the first team to ever compete like a lot of the skills on bandshell before. Like no one's ever competed unassisted hand skis, even in UCA. Like we would just like knowing that like all I wanted to do was compete at Daytona, and like knowing that like I was on a team that also made history. Like it was like an inexplicable feeling, really. Like I never even thought I'd make Matt. Like I don't know, you come here just like hoping to like, you know, just get better, learn something, and then all of the extras are just a bonus. So it was amazing.
Yeah.
Being here was cool. So being here was cool. Being on a winning team was even more cool.
Yeah, I'm sure. That was something I only learned from watching the Cheer Netflix series, is that there's like more people on the team and that you don't make Matt. So can you talk about that process a little bit more?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that one because Kat's disappeared. No, I was a perfect example. So I came here in January, which is kind of halfway through the season, because the university semester here runs August to April. So I never had an expectation to make Matt, because by then, and the coach was very clear, said like the team's kind of already been set. So something kind of bad would have had to happen to one of the athletes for me to push my way on, and it almost did actually. One of our guys had a really bad back injury, but he pulled through. So I personally never had that kind of expectation to make Matt, because I knew I was coming in kind of already behind the 8 ball. And I think there definitely are some people who, you know, we've got a squad this year of 45-ish, and last year it was close to 40 as well. And there's 20 spots on a team to make Matt. So there's almost more athletes not on the mat than there are on. This year it'll be different because there is a large and small co-ed, so there's 2 teams and more opportunities for people to compete. But yeah, I mean, making Matt when it comes to that is a thing that some people only care about. That's their main goal. But then on the flip side, there are some athletes who making Matt's not really their biggest goal. There are some athletes here who actually just prefer the game day side of things and cheering on the sidelines and doing all that. So making Matt's not as important for them, but there definitely are some people who just kind of, you know, stepping out in the bandshell is their number one goal.
And so I assume with the fact that that's half the team is only going on, is there the same sort of pressure to go to every single training session? Like, do you get in trouble if you miss a training session, or it's literally like it's your fault, you fall behind and you don't get to make Matt?
You don't miss practices. It's not like an option.
Even not making Matt, like now you don't miss practices.
Yeah. I mean, open gyms, that's like what it's like, you know, if you know you need to get a certain skill to make Matt, because like often you'll have another person on the team that has like kind of the same skills as you, but just might have that extra skill, which means that they would make that spot over you, you know. Like we said, like everyone has their roles, like whether you're a tumbler, top girl, mid layer, base, obviously. Yeah, so the open gyms, I would say, would be like the optional.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a little concern for me, was like the competitiveness, I guess, and coming here and people like fighting for a spot on mat. Because exactly like you said, I watched cheer and I was like, oh, like this is really competitive. Like, how is it going to be? But from what I've heard, because I haven't experienced it personally, but what I've heard from people that went through that process last year, everyone is still a family at the end of the day. And whether like some of them get told it's down to you two. One of you are going to be on mat and the other's not. Like there's no hate between them at the end of the day. And they're not rude to each other. They're not trying to bring each other down. If anything, everyone's trying to bring each other up. And I think that's a big thing about Weber that I love, is that we're literally one big family.
Yeah, amazing.
Definitely know some athletes struggle if you're not on the mat but the team still wins. Did you win? Were you a part of that victory as well? And I do know some athletes struggle with that. You know, if you weren't physically on the mat, did you contribute to the win at all? And I know some people bring it down to a personal level. They say, have I done everything I can to make this team better? Am I a good teammate? Have I gotten all the skills I can to be ready in case someone gets injured, for example, to go in? So I know some people struggle with that, and they all have their own ways of dealing with it. So that really comes down to how you perceive the team, whether it's just the people that are stepping on the mat or whether it's everyone around them as well.
Yeah. We've got people watching us. Matt Nichols says, you guys rock my world.
We love you, Matt.
And Saul says, miss you all.
Aww.
Can you tell me to stop being so awkward?
Yeah, I saw you saw that one, so I wasn't going to read it out loud. I will say, though, if anyone is watching and they want to ask a question, put a question in the chat on YouTube, and I will read it out. But we've got a bit of a delay, so I'll ask my next question. If you do come back to Australia and you continue cheering, what would be something that you would introduce into the Australian cheer community? Like, even if it's like, it can be as an athlete, or if you decide to coach or whatever, like what would be the thing that you'd want to bring to Australia?
Just with like camps and stuff, that like just from like everywhere, maybe more like practices, like fitting more into practices. I feel like you can be like, time is just can be used a little differently. Just from the teams I've been on, I feel like, and even like more efficient ways of doing things. Like whether that's like stunts, now that we have like literally every tip from every stud, like just stunning with so many people from different places, you just have like all this like knowledge, whether it works for you, whether it doesn't work for you, just like stuff like that.
For me personally, half of the coming over here and doing cheer was my own, selfish benefit to get to do cool things, see cool people, and do all these amazing have these opportunities. But I guess the longer term goal was more, I wanted to bring everything back I could, as Kat said, to the country, like all the knowledge and just the skills that we don't really have back home, because we're not from the country where cheer was invented and where it's ingrained into high school and every college. So it's not like
probably a lot more money into the industry as well.
Yeah,
it's huge. Every high school has their own cheerleading team. So, and it's the industry, just weird things like apparel and shoes and everything it's billions of dollars.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever going to be the same in Australia. We're not going to have every high school have a cheer team, and there's going to be like big rallies and like football games and everything. But the little things in terms of I love what Kat just said actually about like ways to run practices more efficiently. I think that's a fantastic thing to do. And just technical knowledge is the big one for me, to come back and be able to just pass on everything I've learned from being here.
Mm-hmm. Anything to add, Alex? You don't have to, but
okay, there's one thing I do like over here that like maybe competitions could add in back home. At our camp, there is this award that you get called an All-American, and you have to like be an all-rounder. So you have to be able to tumble and stunt and jump. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that like competitions could bring something similar in, so that you don't have to compete on a team or with like partner stunter or anything, and you can still get an award for being like an all-round athlete.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nice. Do you think it's a bit different as well? Because like, you know, over here in Australia, to be a cheer gym, you kind of have to have quite a few teams to be financially successful. So and you know, a lot of time those are lower teams, not necessarily high teams training at that level 6, level 5, 6, 7, you know, kind of elite level. Do you think it's possible to do the same sort of American training style?
I mean, yeah, I like have been to gyms that like have at most up to like a level 3 or even a level 4 team. Like there are lots of small gyms. Like I think that again, like we think that like everybody's like crazy, everybody's level 6 over here, but like, you know, there's gyms that only go up to level 2 or level 3. And they actually do still kind of have like a similar work ethic, like just like no excuses, do your job. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. And so do you have any advice for up and coming stunters, or any advice for people who are wanting to go to the US and cheer?
I have one. Anything's possible. I always in the past said, no, I can't do that. I can never do that. If you had told me a year ago during lockdown when I was watching like cheer on Netflix that I was going to be over in America on a college team exactly like that, training every day, I would have laughed and been like, no way. There's no way I could do that. Like, no. So I just think that like, don't doubt yourself. Anything is possible. And you don't know what's going to happen in a year's time or in 6 months' time. So just keep striving for your goals, and eventually one day you'll get there if you want them that bad.
Just do it. Just do it. Like there's and just start somewhere. I know it's intimidating, but if you have a college that you want to try out for, send their DM their Instagram page, or DM someone who's on the team and just ask them. You know, that's what I did. I met Colin, who's on the team with us in Mexico a couple of years ago. And he was my avenue. I messaged him and said, hey, if I want to come try, what do I do? And he gave me the coach's email. And I know it's very intimidating to just message maybe an athlete out of the blue, but they're just people. Don't be nervous. If you know someone who's on a team and say, hey, I want to try out, just honestly just DM them and ask them. And I guarantee you that most people here will be absolutely happy to pass on the correct information. They want people to come to their program. And it's just, again, one more reason I want to come over here, and what I think Kat did specifically, props to her, is she just kind of showed that this is all possible. You know, she kind of really set that precedent for. I know other people have come to college ahead of time, but she was definitely most visible, and being on the Valley and then on Weber as well. Like she, especially for me, she said like, yeah, it's possible to come and do this, where it didn't really it seemed like such a far-fetched goal to begin with. So just don't be intimidated and try it. Even if you think you're not good enough, you're never going to make the team you want, that you've got nothing to lose by trying. And you'll be, I mean, all three of us are sitting, I mean, they're living like 2 blocks that way.
Yeah.
We're all sitting here showing that, yeah, it can be done.
Yeah, definitely. I think that like I just waited so long. I wanted to have like certain skills to like, before I thought I was good enough. I still today always have had just such a critical voice in my head telling me that I'm not good enough. So even before I came here, like, yeah, I still didn't think that I was good enough already. Like, I think that I waited till I thought I was ready. And if I have any advice, I would say, don't do that. Just try. I think I was good enough years ago, but just didn't think I was. Yeah, I think just don't listen to that voice in your head. Just if you want to do it, try then. Yeah. And if you don't make it, keep trying. Like, yeah, I think I was scared of rejection, and like, you can't really be scared of rejection, I guess.
And so is the only way to do it to go through a university, or is there other ways to do it?
Like to cheer on college, or?
Well, yeah, to cheer on American teams. Like, do you think is college is the best way?
I mean, now to even if you wanted to compete on an all-star team, you have to be in college. So
or be living here and working. So that is the other way. But like you literally have to get a full-time proper job and move here on a work visa. I think that's the other way. But that's,
I don't know. I looked it up.
Oh, really? Oh,
I don't even know if that's a possibility. But yeah, it seemed like college was the only way.
Yeah, right. And is that because you're training during the day? Like, is it a training thing, or like an hour training thing, or is it more?
Because you're studying, I think.
It's a visa thing.
Yeah, it's because you're studying. Like, we're just here to study for our visas.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
I think because I looked into doing clause 7 a few years back as well, and the thing was that you needed to be to stop athletes coming from overseas and just kind of flooding on American teams and competing under the banner. You have to be there for a reason. You have to, and I think as Kat said, the main reason for internationals right now, or maybe the only reason, is to study, to live and study there. That classifies you as eligible to be on an American all-star team.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just fly in for a weekend, compete with the team, and leave. They're like verifications you have to go through. So
yeah, for sure. Guys, we have our first question from Mr. Matt Nichols. Wow. And he says, it's not cheer related though, but I appreciate the question, Matt, anyway. How do you all keep in touch with your family and friends back home?
Was that a dude?
Maybe it was. Does that mean that there's been little contact?
I FaceTimed with him yesterday, so I don't know why he's getting so salty.
I've been here. I feel like I've been here for forever now. It's really hard. I'm terrible with calling people. I always have been. And it's like, I don't know, I have to actually remember to do it. And like, I don't know, you can feel really isolated here because you're literally, I don't know, before these guys came, like I was completely on my own, really. And yeah, I think I need to remember, like, when I'm feeling down, to like family. Yeah. You just have to remember to do it, honestly, at this point. My family's terrible with calling me too, so.
I WhatsApp, like FaceTime my family, or specifically my mom, like once a day, even if it's for 2 minutes, to just be like, hi, like I'm live. And just to see them and hear their voice. Like, it's only been a month for me, so it hasn't been that long, but just to, I think, see them and talk to them, it makes a big difference. It's very easy, actually.
Yeah.
Wow, I feel guilty now. I don't speak to my mother that often.
I am younger too.
I mean, I guess being older and having lived out of home for a while before I moved here is a little bit different. You got to get used to the time zone differences as well. I know.
And all I'm saying is that if you haven't contacted your mother, I hope she's not supporting you financially in some way.
I was speaking to her yesterday. She's giving me lots of money now. Yeah, I mean, obviously, like it's just about you speak to the people you want to speak to, I guess, and that sounds like a really harsh thing to say, but it's impossible to maintain the same sort of contact with everyone who, like, you know, I saw everyone on Legacy, you know, 3 times a week, every week. And I'm obviously not going to speak to all 24 of them every day or every other day. You've got a whole new social circle of people that you've got to hang out with here and catch up with here. You know, you'll talk to the people you want to talk to. If you love your parents, you'll speak to them, I'm sure.
Matt says it's not a dig, so it was all your own guilt that you got then. It's just
self-guilt.
Yeah.
I must admit, I got very emotional the first day that I FaceTimed with him after the baby was born, because he like showed the baby, like Wyatt, sleeping on camera. And that was a very big moment for me.
Yeah. The next question I was going to ask you is, do you think that American teams are like they favorite Aussies quite a lot, or are there people from all over the world on cheer teams? Like, you know, are they Europeans, or do they like their Aussies?
They love us personally.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say favorite, but they love our accents. That's all I have to say. They love them. Like,
they're just fascinated.
Everywhere you go, you say one word and they're like, where are you from?
Yeah. Yeah. I literally went to a bar like not that long ago with my ID, and he was like, oh, wow, you're a long way from home. Austin's pretty far away. I was like, yeah, real far.
Amazing.
You'll say something at like the cash register of a store, and they'll ask you like, oh, did you want your receipt? And you'll just say like no, and they'll just like give you that look. Like so they'll look up at you like, oh yeah, I'm not from here, sure.
Yeah,
right.
I've been saying, like when I go to pay for things back home, you would always say on card, please. Like on card. I say that here. They give me the funniest look ever. They're like, sorry, what? And I'm like, on card. And they're like, it's ready. And I'm like, oh, they just don't say weird stuff like that anymore.
Because no one pays in cash.
Yeah, like if they see you pull a card out, they just do card. Whereas I feel like back home, you have to specify, even if you have a card out, you're like, on card, thank you. So little things like that, and little words. Like they don't say stitch when you get a stomach stitch. That's just not a word here. Like there's so many. The list could go on. I'm going to stop.
And about this for hours. In answer to your actual question, though, no, I don't think they favor Australians. They'll take anyone as long as you're a good fit for the team. If you're talented, hardworking, and all that. Yeah, it just so happens that there's 3 Australians on Weber right now, and just coincidence that it's been increasing at 1 athlete per semester for the last 3 semesters.
Yeah.
I think, there was where was Luis from, Kat? He was on the team last year.
Yeah, there were 2 Brazilians at the Valley, and actually there's another guy from Puerto Rico. A lot of like that kind of area, like Brazil, Mexico. There's a couple of Mexicans on the team actually at Trinity Valley. Trinity Valley was like, the community colleges are a little easier to get into because they accept almost anyone school-wise, and community colleges are cheaper. So it all comes down to, I feel like, money. Like it's, if you have the skills and you're from a different country, yeah. And like the Mexicans and like Puerto Ricans and stuff are throwing some crazy stuff too. So yeah.
Do you think Australia is pretty up there as far as like the rest of the world when it comes to cheerleading? Or yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
I thought we weren't, but we definitely are.
Yeah, right.
So many teammates back home that I know would make teams here easily. Just easily. Absolutely.
Yeah, right. And what do you think that is? Just because we've been doing it for long enough now, or do you think we're just quite driven to do that?
we have the talent.
We have the talent, and I think that like we obviously fly people down for like choreography and all those things. So we're still like in touch, and we go to worlds. Like you see the caliber, like a lot of our teams are hanging up there as well. So
we've got another question.
Just like, so also just like the way the competitions run. I mean, I think that kudos to, I didn't think I was going to shout out ASCAP, but stuff like that, like ASCAP Nationals is a huge event. I mean, even go to NCA, I think ASCAP Nationals was larger. I'm not gonna say better, but just like, I think that there's a really good like grassroots movement coming through from the bottom up, like, you know, level 1, 2, 3 teams. That's kind of like pushing talent towards the top.
Yeah, awesome. All right, Lauren wants to know, what are the main things you hope to achieve whilst in America / Weber? And also, yes, to cheer camps in Australia, please. UCA held one here in Sydney back in 2008, and it was the best fun. So yeah, the question was, what are the main things you hope to achieve whilst in America at Weber?
I hope to get another title. I definitely want to be at Daytona on that mat and get another ring. That would be amazing. It's kind of the only goal I can think of right now.
Mine was to step out onto the floor to do partner stunt, and I achieved it. So in many ways, I almost thought like, well, if I achieved what I came to achieve, I might go home, but I wasn't quite satisfied. So we're doing it again. And I guess for me, it's just to step out there and do partner stunt again, to qualify, do a little bit better, and step out there for the team. Again, there's no real standard in terms of I want to win grands, I want to win the division. I just want to do as much as I can possibly, extract as much out of it as I can.
Anyone got their NCA ring handy? Show it off.
We don't have them yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they were like in the design process for ages because this ring is so pretty, but I'll get up a picture.
Okay.
If I can.
Okay.
just funnily, that I think that Lauren mentioned a UCA camp in Sydney in 2008. Fun fact, Kat, you know Courtney, CJ's girlfriend?
Yes.
Pretty sure she was at that camp.
Oh,
she's mentioned it before, that she went to Australia back in like the late 2000s to do a camp. So
that's so cool.
I think 2008 was like the end of the year. That was when I started cheering, so I would have just missed out on that. Not that I would have been ready, because I've seen my first couple of years of cheerleading and it is quite embarrassing.
Me too. I look at videos.
Awful.
Okay. I don't know if this is the best way to do it. My
Oh yeah.
screen isn't very good.
Quite round.
Closer.
Yeah.
It has claws.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's it.
Nice. You
Pretty.
get your name on it. So they're individualized as well. So you get your personal name on it.
Yeah.
Crazy. Do you have to pay for them?
Our school is like paying for half. So we're paying half.
And how much are they, dare I ask?
We have to pay 200. So
Right.
they're probably, honestly, I think the school might be covering a little more than half, but they're expensive.
Yeah, right.
I spent more on those silly pinnacle rings in the past. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're at the end of the hour. Thank you so much for your time and having a chat with me. And it was lovely to see your faces. It feels like it hasn't been that long since I've seen you.
No, it always feels like that. It's great to see you. Thanks for having us. This was like amazing. It's great to see you always, Josie.
Oh, okay. And keep smashing it. I look forward to seeing. Put more stuff up on Instagram because there's much.
Yeah, I'm so bad.
I'm starting to slow down.
I've started following Colin, and I'm like watch every single one of his videos, and
he posts a lot.
He does post a lot, but he's pretty insane.
Yes.
He is good.
I feel like we should get him to Australia to teach a whole bunch of stuff.
That's the plan.
There was a plan to do
I
that.
want to, that's actually one of the things I want to do once I'm done here. And once Australia opens up their borders, I definitely want to bring, want to get like a few of us like come down and do like a camp or a clinic or something. That's the dream. So hopefully Australia will open their borders before like 2030.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully. All right, my peoples. Well, thank you very much. Oh, and I meant to say happy birthday for yesterday in US time as well, Catherine.
Thank you.
How old are you, if you don't mind saying?
27.
Yes.
27 now.
All right. Well, love you guys. So good to see you. Thanks.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.